Hey, welcome back. This is They Reminisce Over You. I am Miguel.
And I'm Christina. And today we're going to be talking about the king of R&B, according to Whitney Houston and others as well. You ready to get started?
I'm ready. Let's get into it. Okay, so we are talking about Robert Beresford Brown. If the Kang intro didn't give you any clue as what we're talking about, Bobby Brown is our topic this week. We're going to start with young Bobby, his background, where he comes from, and how he became the catalyst for New Edition forming. So I read this in his biography, just the troublemaker that he was as a child. He didn't get into any you need to be arrested type trouble, but he was just a rambunctious kid. Like the kid that's always throwing punches at people on the playground.
I can see that.
Just running all over the place, playing basketball, riding bikes, typical roughhousing type kid. His sister was a judge at a talent show. She decided that, you know what, my little brother needs to be in this. So they put him in this white pimp outfit and gave him a perm.
Oh, man.
And he got on stage and was going to sing a Jackson song. And he said he's like 9-10 years old or whatever. And he starts singing. And girls in the crowd started screaming.
Okay.
And he freaked out and got scared. So he ran off stage and just sat in his sister's lap.
Aw.
So he's like, imagine this little kid dressed as a pimp sitting on his big sister's lap because he's scared to go back out on stage.
Because some girls were screaming?
Because they were screaming positively. It's not like they were booing him.
Right.
But he said he vowed to come back the next week and win the crowd over. And that was the beginning of the Bobby Brown we know and love.
Okay.
Right there.
Well, he definitely learned how to work the stage.
He did. And he just kept going back and basically being part of these random different talent shows. He even had a group with his sister and 4 other girls called Bobby's Angels while he was growing up before New Edition. And losing in a competition, he met Maurice Starr, who put New Edition together. It was like, hey, man, you find some backup singers, I can make a record with you. So that's when he recruited his buddy Mike Bivins. And he's like, hey, Ralph and Ricky have a group. Why don't we invite them over? There's your formation of New Edition.
So I actually didn't know New Edition as a group until after I came to know pretty much each of them as solo artists. I definitely knew Bobby Brown during his second album when he did, My Prerogative, Don't Be Cruel, all that stuff. Even though that album came out the same time as New Edition's album with a new member, Johnny Gill. But I don't remember exactly when I heard If It Isn't Love, but that was definitely the song where I was like, wait a minute, that's Belle Biv DeVoe. That's Ralph Tresvant. That's Johnny Gill. So I just remember like my mind being blown like, hey, these guys were all in a group before? What happened? And not only that, just finding out that New Kids on the Block was modeled after them was also mind-blowing. Surprisingly, at that age, you would have thought that I would have listened to New Kids on the Block too, but I didn't. Like, I was familiar with their music, but I wasn't really a fan. So it wasn't until we watched their biopic that I decided to kind of just go back and listen to some New Kids songs just for fun. And I was shocked to hear how Please Don't Go Girl sounds exactly like Is This the End? Like, I was like, okay, I know that they were modeled after them, but I didn't realize that like Maurice Starr was literally trying to make them New Edition.
Yeah.
It's shocking. I mean, later on, their music got to be a little more pop, but that first album, and especially that song, Please Don't Go Girl, like, that is New Edition right there.
Yeah, his whole goal with that was to get back at New Edition for firing him and trying to come up with something bigger and better.
Right.
I just think it's wild that you didn't get to hear any of their first 4 albums
I didn't.
until after they had broken up and done like solo and BBD stuff. It's wild to even think about going in that direction and learning about New Edition rather than the way that I learned it.
Right.
They, as I said, started as a group that Bobby was trying to put together to be his backup group to further his career. And the 4 of them were already friends. They had their separate things going on, came together. They were losing a couple competitions. It was like, you know what? We need to learn how to dance. That's when they reached out to Brooke Payne. And he's like, you know what? I'm putting my nephew in the group. And there we have it. It's the origins of New Edition.
So Ronnie was brought in as a dancer, basically?
Pretty much.
Okay.
He was brought in because his uncle said that the dance steps that he was choreographing looks better with 5 and not 4.
Okay.
And that was his original role, was to kind of make it a 5-piece group rather than 4-piece. And there you go.
Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, Mike,
they
and
are Ralph and Johnny
Ralph.
too, as they said on the
too.
Word to the Mother remix. So they're off and running at this point. First album, they sound like really young. Like Bobby's voice isn't even recognizable on that first album. Like I'm listening to it the other day and I'm trying to figure out which one is Bobby. Like I had to watch the videos in order to pick out which voice was his, because Ralph's his is obvious.
Well, yeah.
But the rest of them is like, is that Ricky? Is that Bobby? Who is that? I never even knew that Bobby was singing solo on Jealous Girl.
Okay.
That's all him. So that was his time to shine. And he took full advantage of it. Anybody who's listening, I suggest that if you're a New Edition fan, Bobby Brown fan, go back and look at those old videos, because he's given it all he has in some of these performances.
So I guess in New Edition, it was mostly Ralph and Bobby singing lead, right?
It was mostly Ralph, but then Bobby and Ricky would get their moments too.
Okay.
But Ralph was the lead guy. There were times, like I said, he got his solo shot on Jealous Girl and other songs. Him and Ricky would jump in and do their parts. But Mr. Telephone Man on the second album is where Bobby really started to shine. Because his voice had changed.
Yes.
And he basically carried that song.
It's interesting that Ralph ended up being sort of the main lead, considering the group was put together based on Bobby.
And that's why he basically started acting out.
Yeah, he's like, wait a minute.
He's like, I put this together.
This is me.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Ralph is like, nah.
But yeah, that was the genesis of him starting to act out, because he's like, why are my vocals being cut? And I'm the one who put all this together.
Exactly.
Just reading in his book again, he says, admittedly, he's not the best singer. He's not the best dancer, but he's the hardest worker. He's like, nobody's going to outwork me. And apparently there were songs that he was supposed to lead on more, but the record label was like, no, we need more of that Ralph Tresvant over there.
Were they trying to do like the young Michael Jackson vibe again?
Yeah, and that was Bobby's plan too. When he first started the group, he was like, Ralph sounds like a young Mike. And everybody wanted to be like Mike, but it backfired on him.
Yeah.
When they're like, yeah, we're going to have this guy be the lead. But you tell a 14, 15-year-old kid that you're not the lead anymore, and they start to act out, especially when you got Bobby Brown in you.
Yes. He already has the acting out gene.
Yes.
So he gets kicked out, in 1985?
Yeah.
So he was about 16 at the time?
Yep. He was 16. He's actually on that last album, but they're like, you know what? You got to go. According to the guys in the group, it was management that forced him out. And he's like, whatever, I'm leaving, because their management offered him a solo deal anyways. It's like, this is what I want. So that's when he went on to make the King of Stage album, which didn't do very well.
Yeah, I had actually never heard this album until earlier this week.
Okay.
Like, to me, there was no Bobby Brown before Don't Be Cruel, I guess. But I was like, you know what? For research purposes, I should listen to it. Oh, it was a struggle.
Yeah, it's not very good.
Yeah.
The only song that was even a hit was Girlfriend.
It sounds like he was trying to figure out what his sound was going to be. I don't even remember it now. I've already put it out of my mind. But I think if my memory serves me correct, it sounded like he was trying to keep with that old New Edition sound, but it just didn't work for him solo.
Yeah, it was a struggle to listen to. And even after he left the group, it's not like they were blowing things out of the water either. Their music kind of struggled for a little bit. They had small hits here and there, but nothing major. So that's when he moves on to do the Don't Be Cruel album. And that's the one that took Bobby out of here.
That is the one that made me a fan, obviously, since I knew him before New Edition.
Right.
What was the first single? My Prerogative?
No, that was the second. It was Don't Be Cruel.
This one is like that quintessential sound, the New Jack Swing sound.
Right.
So this is a song that I say would define music at that time. Because, like, when I think about Don't Be Cruel and My Prerogative, this makes me think about how hard we used to dance back in the day. And, like, you can't listen to it without moving. And I was watching the video for My Prerogative, and the funny thing is, it's literally the same video for Father MC's I'll Do For You. Like, the exact same video. I think My Prerogative came out first.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just funny because I was rewatching the video and I was like, yep, this reminds me of Father MC with the girls with the guitars and the black dresses, and they dancing with their rayon suits and hard bottoms.
Right.
But that is also one of the familiar patterns and tropes of music videos at that time too. You know, we loved a good guitar at the time. Does anyone even know how to play a guitar?
Well, if you play keyboards, you know how to play a guitar.
But not the ones in the videos. It's usually a pretty girl.
That's true.
Yeah, just all that dancing around with shoulder pads and hard bottoms. It's always funny.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that it's funny that this album basically kicks off the New Jack Swing movement that Teddy Riley was pushing, and Teddy only did 2 songs on the album. He did My Prerogative, and I forget the second one that he did.
Every Little Step?
No, it wasn't Every Little Step. I can't remember which one.
I'll Be Good to You, because that sounds very.
Maybe that might be the one, but this entire album was produced by LA and Babyface.
Interesting.
Which is something that they typically weren't doing at the time.
Oh, yeah. Now I remember when we were watching the Versus.
Yeah.
And Babyface was pulling out
all of the Bobby Brown hit.
Yeah, he was like, oh, you want me to play some New Jack Swing? I got some.
Yeah, I got that too.
Yeah.
And Bobby was just saying when he first linked up with him, he's like not really into what they were doing.
Yeah.
Because he looked at him like, I can't even stand the way they dress. It's like, y'all need to stop wearing these suits and sunglasses everywhere you go. But he's like, yeah, they started working together and he could see that they weren't what they projected. So he was actually surprised that they were able to give him the sound that he was looking for. And the album was done before he even put My Prerogative on it. He said he just went back to New York after it was recording, walking down the street, coming towards him carrying his keyboard under his arm is Teddy Riley.
Hey.
So he's like, Teddy, what are you up to? Nothing. What are you up to? So he said they went back to his apartment in Harlem and started knocking out some tracks. And he said he starts playing this drum track and Teddy had nothing on it, but that Bobby came up with that.
Oh.
He said that had been stuck in his head for months. And every time he would get near a keyboard, he would just play that over and over again. So he played a cassette of that for Teddy. Teddy heard it, was like, let's go. And there's My Prerogative.
I made this money. You didn't, right, Ted?
Right.
I was looking, as I do whenever we do an episode on a musical artist, I was looking at the Billboard charts. And for this album on the Hot 100 charts, My Prerogative is the only song that actually went to #1.
Yep.
But of course, he got a bunch of other #1 hits on like R&B charts and whatnot. But there's a reason why this song went #1. It's pretty catchy.
It is.
Although, I don't know, is this a hot take? I actually prefer Every Little Step.
I'll allow it. Explain.
I don't really have any reason in particular. I actually ranked the songs when I was listening to this album. And I feel like my answer should be My Prerogative because that's just like the song that you know.
Yeah.
Right? But something about when I hear Every Little Step, I just want to jump up and start dancing around.
Okay.
I mean, I like that with My Prerogative too, but I just like it better. I don't know if did Britney ruin it for me?
Maybe. I don't know.
I think when you think about Bobby and this album, it's kind of like when we were talking about Tevin Campbell and I was saying how it usually boils down to Can We Talk or I'm Ready.
Okay.
And I think for Bobby in this album, it's Every Little Step or My Prerogative are the songs that people tend to pull up. And yeah, no reason in particular. When I compare the two, I just like it better.
I don't think it's a hot take.
It's another mild Christina take.
Another mild, lukewarm take.
But there are some other good jams as well. I like Rock With Ya. And the line that always makes me laugh in Roni is he's like, she makes the toughest homeboy fall deep in love. That just dates the song so much. I mean, the fact that who says tenderoni anymore? Were people even saying tenderoni back then? Was that like a thing?
It was.
Okay. I was like 10, so I don't know.
I wasn't much older than you.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I wasn't around anybody who would be calling anybody a tenderoni.
It was.
But that just makes me chuckle every time when he's like, she makes the toughest homeboy fall deep in love.
Okay, well, if that makes you chuckle, imagine that song being sung by Babyface.
Oh, yeah. That would be even funnier.
Because that song was for Babyface's album.
No.
Yes.
That is so not. I can't. Babyface should never sing about homeboys.
It was on his album.
Oh, man.
It was on his album. Bobby heard it, was like, I need that. And Babyface was like, no, this is mine.
No.
And
that was a good decision to give it to Bobby.
And LA and Babyface let him sing it, and they were like, you know what, you're right.
Yeah.
This is yours.
Mr. Whip Appeal can't be singing about toughest homeboys.
Because his vocals are still on the song. Like, the background is all Babyface. Yeah. Babyface and Karen White.
Huh. I'm going to have to listen to that again and listen for Babyface.
Look through a Kenneth Edmonds view.
Yep.
As you listen to that song.
Yeah. But I love Every Little Step. That's my favorite song off of this album.
There's a rumor that it's not even Bobby singing it. It's allegedly Ralph Tresvant.
No, I don't believe it.
Of course not. It's their former manager who Bobby fired. Uh-huh. And he didn't make this claim until like 2014. He says that Bobby was too high and too drunk to come to the studio, so they had to bring Ralph in.
Lies.
And he pretended to be Bobby.
And why would Ralph want to do that?
Exactly.
Like, Ralph was trying to get his own solo deal and stuff at the time. Why would he help Bobby?
It was the character that Michael Rappaport played in the movie. So
okay.
If that tells you anything.
Yeah, so he's a sleaze.
Yeah.
Well, this is one of those albums where the first half is really good and then the second half is meh.
Yeah, it didn't really hold up because Bobby isn't really a strong singer. So those songs would have worked better with somebody with a better voice, or a stronger voice, I should say. But the up-tempo stuff, that's his lane. Like, if we're going to get on stage and go hard and jump around and dance that's where he is. That's where he shines.
He definitely shines there.
Both his album and the New Edition album were released on the same day.
Can you imagine if we had social media back then?
It would have been ridiculous if
Did they
Twitter
do that on
was
purpose?
around. I'm sure it was done on purpose. They were releasing the same day, and it seemed like the singles were staggered. Like, Don't Be Cruel came out, and then If It Isn't Love came out, right. And then it just went on like that for the next year. They were going on tour with Al B. Sure, Bobby Brown, Guy, and New Edition. They were headlining. Bobby was supposed to open. I don't know if you remember the podcast that we listened to, Juan Epstein with Questlove and Chris Rock. Mm-hmm. And Chris Rock was actually going to go on before Bobby. And he said after a while, Al B. Sure gets his hands on the Don't Be Cruel album before it actually comes out. So him and Al are on the tour bus listening to it. And he said you could just see as they get from song to song, Al B. Sure is like, I'm done.
My days are numbered.
It's like Chris Rock said he watched Al B. Sure's career end on that tour bus while they listened to the album before it came out. And in the book, there's a section where Babyface is telling a story about how at the beginning of the tour, Bobby's opening. About halfway through it, they decide to go check out one of the shows. Bobby opens, does his set, and Babyface said they're standing off to the side of the stage, and the people that could see that side see Bobby, and they're going nuts while Al B. Sure is performing. So he's got to listen to these people chanting for Bobby while he's on stage singing hit records.
What was a hit song for Al B. Sure at the time? Night and Day?
Night and Day, On Your Own, Girl, all of that stuff. He's performing all of the hits, and they're calling for Bobby. And Babyface said, he was like, yeah, this guy's out of here now. So by the end of the tour, Bobby's no longer opening. He's closing the show. It was the Heartbreak Tour that became the Don't Be Cruel Tour. So
wow.
They shifted the sets, and Bobby is now closing the tour that he was opening a month before. And that's the power of Bobby Brown in 1988. I will go out on a limb and say between 1988 and 1991, probably the only person bigger in music was probably Michael Jackson. Maybe Madonna.
Because if I had to compare the New Edition album versus the Don't Be Cruel album, Can You Stand the Rain is a classic. If It Isn't Love is as well. But overall, if I had to choose which was the better album, it was Bobby.
And that's the thing. The New Edition album was doing well.
Right.
They were doing, that was probably the best run they ever had. And they're still being overshadowed by Bobby.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous. Bobby's so big, he's doing songs on the Ghostbusters soundtrack.
Right.
Like he's singing songs about the Ghostbusters and taking that to the top of the charts. That's ridiculous. But hey.
88.
1988 was his year. 88, 89, 90. He toured for 3 years off of that album.
Wow.
All right, moving on. Let's talk about him and his wife, or then girlfriend,
Ms. Whitney Houston.
Whitney Houston.
I think at the time, people thought this was a weird pairing because Whitney was like this pop princess, and he was like bad boy, whatever. She was more like adult contemporary, so her music was also made her very, white famous, so, shall we say. And although Bobby was huge and people knew who he was, he had a much more, quote, urban audience. So I don't know if people thought she was, dating down or whatever.
Pretty much. And at the time, Bobby was just as big as Whitney, if not bigger.
Exactly. But in different circles.
Yeah. He just seemed to be the troublemaker in the thug, even though he wasn't. And then the only thing we knew about these people were videos, award shows, and what we read in magazines.
That was how they wanted to portray her. She's with Clive Davis. And she was elegant. And she was older, too, and sophisticated. And Bobby's running around in a mesh top and leather pants, humping the ground and stuff.
He's obviously the bad boy.
Yeah. Little did we know.
Yeah. Behind the scenes, it was the opposite, where she was the bad girl. And he's like, oh, wait a minute. What have I got myself into?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the image that they pushed out there because, like I said, even when he was young, he was rambunctious, but he never got into any trouble. The first time he was arrested was when he was performing on that New Edition Heartbreak Tour, and they were in Georgia, and they had some sort of anti-gyrating rule or something that had just been passed early in the year. Bobby gets on stage dancing My Prerogative, and he's dry humping the ground. They snatched him off stage and arrested him. What's funny is he went to jail, posted bond, came back and finished the show. So he wasn't even there long. So that was his
quick process.
Yeah, that was his only run-in with the law before he met Whitney Houston. So I'm not sure how he became branded as this bad boy.
I guess it was just his image versus hers.
Yeah.
I mean, he was, well, like you were saying, gyrating all over the place. And we always saw her in gowns and singing adult contemporary R&B.
Meanwhile, he's ripping his shirt off on stage and sliding all over the place.
Do you think that his song on the Bobby album, Humping Around, was for Whitney since she was allegedly quite jealous as well?
According to his book that I keep referencing, Every Little Step, yes. It wasn't directly going at her, but it was kind of like, hey, I'm not doing what you think I am, because he said that she was out there actually cheating as well. So.
Oh. Well, we also know of her relationship with her friend.
Yes.
Yeah, there was stuff going on between them that we didn't know about.
Right. But he said that there was a run-in that she had with Tupac.
Okay, so Tupac is out here.
Tupac was one. When he started dating her, actually, she was dating Eddie Murphy.
Okay.
He claims he was dating Janet Jackson. She denies it because she was allegedly with Renee at the time.
Okay.
But he says that he was with Janet, and Eddie Murphy and Whitney were together. And he went to Eddie Murphy's house for something. They were just hanging out, and he's asking, so what's up with you and Whitney? Is it serious or whatever? And Eddie's like, no, it is what it is. So that's when he made his move at Whitney, when he didn't exactly get the okay from Eddie Murphy, but Eddie didn't say that they were mutual.
Right.
So that's when he took his shot, and she kept bumping him in the head at the award show.
Yes. I remember that story of how they met. We read about it somewhere. She was sitting behind him and she kept bumping his head.
Yeah. While she was talking to somebody else. And he's like, you keep hitting me in the head. And she's like, I know. And then went back to whoever she was talking to. And that was his moment. He's like, I think I like her. I was annoyed a second ago, but now I like it. And that began the whirlwind Bobby Whitney romance.
Yeah, I guess it's hard to remember exactly what I thought about it then, just because we know so much more about them now. I was actually watching the video for Something in Common, which is also from the Bobby album. And it's just funny because just looking at all the comments in the video, now everyone's like, oh, you could totally tell they're in love, even though they had their problems. I want to be in love with someone like this. And it was just all these positive comments about how much they in love they were, and how, you know, people wish they worked out and stuff. And it's just such a different reaction than how people felt about their relationship back then. I don't know. Maybe time also changes how we view people and things as well.
Right.
The thing that I found funny, I never really understood this expression, which they also say in Something in Common: a bird in the hand beats two in a bush. What does that mean?
Basically, if you're out trying to catch a bird, right? You already have one.
Okay.
But you see two more in the tree over there.
So
why would you risk trying to get those two when you already have this one?
Oh, so basically be happy with what you have?
Right.
Okay. Because I'm like, a bird in the hand beats two in a bush. What does that mean?
Like, because if you're going to try and get those two over there, you have to put this one down.
Okay.
So if you put this bird down, you go get those two, you come back, this bird is gone now.
Yeah. All right, I get it now. Something in Common is not like the best song I've ever heard, but I think it was really cute.
Yeah,
and
it fits.
I always think if I was actually into karaoke, this would be a song I'd want to sing with you just for fun, but I'm not, so.
We can pull up a karaoke version on YouTube, I'm sure.
Just me and you.
We're the only two here. We're not going anywhere anytime soon.
I also think what was great about this album was I loved the videos, because as we were saying, like, Bobby is a great performer.
Yeah.
And you kind of forget that now that he's, you know, older and stuff, and all of his antics later on in life, that you forget what an amazing performer he was.
Yeah.
And so there's so many dance-centric videos on this album. Like, this is literally the videos I used to watch as a teenager, where, you know, you watch videos, you try to learn and copy the dance moves. It was always Bobby. Like, I wanted to learn all these moves and stuff. And this was also the era where we knew dancers too. Like, Big Les is in the Humpin' Around video. Like, we knew Big Les so much for dancing that I didn't have to see her face. Like, I recognized her silhouette. And there was the Fly Girl, the one with the box braids. She was in the video too. You would just see these dancers and you knew who they were. Maybe you didn't know their names, but like, it was just, dance was just so big at the time that, like, you would even recognize the background dancers. And also the Humping Around video is another one that is like quintessential early 90s videos, them dancing in a dirty warehouse, which is what everyone wanted to do back then for some reason.
With water dripping from a broken pipe.
Bike shorts and knee pads.
Right. What's funny about you saying that he's always dancing, and there's a lot of dancing in the Bobby album videos. He mentioned that on this album, Whitney was teaching him how to sing. And if you listen to it, like, again, he's still not the best singer in the world, but vocally he's a lot stronger on this album than he is on the Don't Be Cruel album. Yeah. And he said in turn for Whitney teaching him to sing, he taught her how to dance. Okay. Or he tried to teach her how to dance.
She did a little bit in I'm Your Baby Tonight. She busted a couple kicks.
But I need to go back and watch the Something in Common video, because he says there's a step that he taught her and he was so happy when she was able to get it. Some little move that she did.
Oh, I watched the video, I think yesterday. I'm pretty sure I know what it is. It's just like this little like shoulder step thing that they do together. So I'm thinking it's probably that.
It might be. He said he was just so happy that she was able to get it.
Well, I learned a lot of my dance moves from Bobby. I still, when I watch the video, there's a little bit of muscle memory still, where I remember bits and pieces of the choreography still.
Oh, man.
So podcast can't be complete without a little story time. So, you know, I started discovering music on my own in the early 90s. And so not only was I discovering music, but I was also discovering dancing. So I would watch the videos and just try to copy everything. And then I think this was definitely older. I think I was like maybe 18, 19. And I decided, I want to actually take dance lessons because in my mind, I thought that somehow I could still be a fly girl or something. And so I grew up in not a small town, but very like white suburbia. So at the time, especially like, quote, hip hop dance classes were hard to find. And so I found one and I was like, okay, let me learn how to like actually do this instead of rewinding videos. And I quit after maybe 3 lessons. I couldn't take it. The instructor had to teach us, and by us, I mean them, how to nod your head to the beat. And I almost died. I was like, how is this not a natural reaction? You hear a beat, you just kind of nod to it. And she was like, you got to push your head back.
Not everybody can get that 2 and 4.
But I was so shocked. I was like, I didn't even know. And these girls that were in the class were dancers already. Like they'd taken ballet, jazz, tap, or whatever, right? And I almost died just watching people learn how to nod their head to the beat and being told to. And I never even thought of it that way. I was like, oh, you do push your head to the back because you just don't really think about it. She's like, no, you don't nod up and down. You got to push it to the back. That hip hop dance video with like middle-aged women, that kind of
thing. With the blue outfit on.
The blue outfit, yes.
We will link to this video in the show notes so you see what we're talking about.
So I'm just like, oh my God, what is this, right? But I was really like, I need to stick to this because I want to get to the performance at the end, right? Like I want to be able to perform. And then in another lesson, she taught us how to shake our butts. And one girl put her hand on her butt cheek and she was like, oh my God, it moves. And I was like, what world am I in? They were like, oh my God, you're so good. And I was just like, you know what? I can't do this. She gave, the dance instructor gave some, quote, fun fact about Boys to Men. And I'm like, why are we dancing to Boys to Men in a hip hop dance class to begin with? And I can't remember what the fun fact was, but it was wrong. And I was just like, I quit. I went, got my money back, drove away, put whatever I was listening to high. And I was like, I'm better off just like watching music videos at this rate.
Instead of trying to be taught to dance to Water Runs Dry by Boys to Men.
I think it was at least Motown Philly, but like, why am I dancing to Motown Philly in a hip hop dance class in 1998 or something? Right? Like, no.
Because she learned that choreography in 92 and she wasn't letting it go.
I was like, no, I can't do this. If I don't leave now, I'm going to say something extremely disrespectful. So I just let them discover that booties can move and that when you nod to the beat, you got to push your head back.
I don't know if you remember this, when he actually did get released from one of his trips to jail. On the Chris Rock show, they had the Free Bobby Brown campaign.
Yes, I remember this.
And he says that he's on the inside and he can hear this crowd of people outside chanting Free Bobby Brown and singing a really bad version of Don't Be Cruel. And he's like, what is going on here? And he comes out of jail and Chris Rock and a news crew is there to greet him. That's one of my favorite episodes ever of the Chris Rock show.
Yeah.
Just to hear that guy strumming his guitar, don't be cruel, because I would never be that cruel to you.
Speaking of singing Bobby Brown badly, you know that guy on Queen Street, the fabric sale?
Yes.
Queen Street, Toronto, for anybody. I'm sure if you live in Toronto and you've been downtown pre-pandemic, you probably know who I'm talking about.
On the corner of Queen and Spadina.
And he just, fabric sale, fabric. Didn't you catch him singing like every little step or something?
I sure did. I was standing at the light waiting for the light to change, and I could just hear some mumbling from behind me and somebody singing Bobby Brown. I'm like, who is that? And I'll turn around and look, and it's the fabric sale guy. That's the only thing I've ever heard him say other than fabric sale.
What was he singing? Was it Every Little Step?
It was Every Little Step.
See, I told you that was a banger.
There was no music around playing anywhere. It's not like a car was driving by playing it. He was just standing on the corner in between fabric sale, singing Every Little Step. And that made my day.
Oh, man, I wish you were able to record that for
Me
me.
too.
I would have loved to see it because I've only ever heard him say fabric sale.
But he was just under his breath. He wasn't singing it for people to hear him. He was singing it for his own personal enjoyment. And I loved every second of it.
You should have gave him a little dap or something.
No.
You want to leave him in his moment.
Yeah, it
Let
was
him
that.
have his moment.
And I was too in shock at what was actually happening. I was like, is he? Yes, yeah. He is.
I wonder what he's up to now.
I don't know. I hope he's not still out there, even though there's people with these stay-at-home orders still out there with yelling fabric sale. All right, so let's move on to the next section. Him reuniting with his brothers in New Edition. So in 1996, New Edition decides to get back together, and they brought Bobby back into the fold.
So now we have six.
Even though he was kicked out of the group, he was always around because he would be on BBD songs and Ralph Tresvant songs. And I don't think he had done any with Johnny at that point, but it's like he wasn't ever kicked out of the group because he was always there.
If he hasn't done anything with Johnny, it makes sense because Johnny joined the group after, so he doesn't really know him.
Yeah.
Not like the way he knows the other guys.
He's done songs with him since.
Okay.
But at this point, I don't think he had done any songs with Johnny other than the BBD remix. But they decide to get back together, do an album, get back out on the road. We're going to be 6 strong this time, and let's make up for lost time. And then Bobby was Bobby.
Wrong. You thought.
The
album itself was actually pretty good. You know how a lot of times when you have these reunion albums or you have groups that, they've been around for a long time, they try to make a newer album and it just doesn't work. But this album was pretty good.
I didn't like it as much as I liked the older stuff, only because too much time had passed, I guess. Mm-hmm. There was a couple songs that I liked, but I wasn't really a huge fan of it. Mm-hmm. But I really wanted to see them in concert just because they were back together.
You didn't like Hit Me Off?
I did. I actually liked that one.
I like Hit Me Off and Still in Love.
Yeah.
Still in Love. Yeah. I was trying to remember the song title here. It's not the best album, but I think it was a pretty solid effort. Again, because how long had they been broken up at this point?
It was 8-9 years, something like that.
Yeah, and then they had all these solo projects in between. So I think it was a good effort. I still listen to it.
I just wanted to see him live. Mm-hmm. That's all I wanted. A couple dates into the tour, they're already fighting. They're fighting on stage. They're fighting backstage. Somebody pulled a gun. And it was just a mess. So needless to say, I did not get to see New Edition perform on that tour. So they break up again after the album. And Bobby hadn't done a solo album since the Bobby album in 1991. So that's when he decided, hey, it's time for me to get back out here. I've been a stay-at-home dad for 6 years. Let me get back and do this Forever album. Did not like it.
I remember the album cover, but I don't remember any of the songs because I had planned to listen to it before we recorded and I just didn't get around to it. But I don't recognize even any of the song titles.
I did not like that album at all. It was not for me. Sadly, it was just a mediocre album.
Yeah.
The production on it, there was no real notable names, and that's probably the biggest reason. There's no Teddy Riley, there's no LA and Babyface, there's no real hit makers on this album. So basically Bobby left up to his own devices.
Right.
And it just didn't come out well. And I probably listened to it 2 or 3 times. I gave it a listen a couple days ago, and it still didn't work for me. I was disappointed as a Bobby Brown fan just to listen to it because it's one of those things where you're like, oh man, this is the fall off point. And it ended up being that way in terms of his solo career. But he had a great run up to that. Before he took the hiatus after the Bobby album, those are some heights that most people will never see.
Yeah, and he can still tour off of those.
Yeah, he's been touring off of that stuff for 30 years now.
Oh man, remember when we saw him perform on the Today show and the morning show?
Yeah, it was a Today show when they do the summer concert series. I had to watch that right before you came downstairs and we started recording this just so I could have it in my head. And it's funny. This was in 2011, I think it was.
Oh, I thought it was that long ago?
Yeah. It was quite a while ago, and he was performing in their summer concert series because he had an album come out that year,
Okay.
which I haven't heard. I think it's called The Masterpiece. It came out after Whitney had passed, and he wanted to, I guess, get some things off his chest. And he performed a new song, and then he ran through some of the old hits.
He tried to hit those dance moves and forgot that those knees aren't the same anymore.
And when he hurt himself, it wasn't even like he was jumping around or anything. He was moving really slow because he's a dad now.
Yep.
This is not 20-year-old Bobby jumping off
Not
of speakers.
at all.
This is, I'm a dad, and I've been sitting at home for a few years, and I don't dance like I used to. So he's just doing this little two-step, and he stops. It just stops
bends
moving.
over.
Yes, in the middle of the stage. But being the seasoned performer that he is, he didn't miss a word in that song. He went right back to the microphone and finished the song. You could see that he was still in a little bit of pain.
He's a professional.
He is a pro. And he finished the song out, just dancing to every little step, and was like, oh, that hurt. But he made it through. He finished that set. But that's the Bobby Brown that we have now.
Right.
He's not going to be jumping around and diving off stage and ripping his shirt off.
Nope. And if he tries to hump the ground, he won't be able to get up.
Yeah. There's a video I watched earlier of their 25th anniversary or something. And it was at the BET Awards, and they're performing. It's the 5 of them.
Oh, I watched that too.
And then Bobby comes out to do My Prerogative. And he changed the words.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, because in My Prerogative, he says, getting girls is how I live. For this performance, he's like, getting girls is how I used to live. So whenever they perform My Prerogative now, he throws that in there. It's like, I'm not the old Bobby no more. That guy's gone.
Well, all of them were moving a little slower.
Yeah.
In that performance.
Yeah, but I liked it.
I liked it. I mean, it's good to see them all come together.
Yeah.
As you know, I did get to technically see New Edition perform. I think this was maybe like 2005. This was where I realized what a strong singer Ricky Bell actually is, because Ralph was out sick. They didn't even mention Bobby at all. I guess they just knew at that point he wasn't coming.
Right.
And so poor Ricky had to sing his parts, Ralph's parts, and Bobby's parts.
Oh, man.
I mean, Johnny Gill was there, so but he had his own parts.
Right.
So Ricky basically had to carry the band.
Oh, man.
So technically I saw New Edition, but it was more like Belle Biv DeVoe with Johnny.
Right.
But I was like, wait a minute. Ricky can actually sing all of these parts.
Yeah.
On the last album they did together, that, what was it, Home
Alone.
Home Alone. He has that one song where he sings lead on the entire song.
Right.
After we watched the biopic and I was looking at old videos, I was like, wait a minute. Ricky is not only singing lead on the entire song, he's the only one in the video.
Because I don't know if you remember it in the movie, they mentioned it there too, that Bobby had done something. It might have been the incident where the gun got pulled because his crew and Ronnie's crew were beefing. Gun gets pulled. All sorts of hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
And Mike was probably like, I'm tired of this shit. And he takes off, and that leaves poor Ricky to shoot this video all by himself.
It was One More Day. That's the song.
Yeah.
Even though, I mean, he's the only one that sings in Belle Biv DeVoe, I didn't realize until I saw him having to sing all their parts what a strong performer that Ricky was.
Yeah.
So.
The past couple years, like I said, they've been touring. So there's always a Tom Joyner cruise or
Yep.
Essence Fest, someplace where
some kind of washed fest.
Yeah, some sort of old people festival for folks like us to go and see these guys perform. So they've been doing that for the past few years. Whenever BBD goes out on the road, Johnny, Ralph, and Bobby have formed this group called the Heads of State. So they've been going off performing as a trio as well, doing all of their solo songs. When the movie came out, they were supposed to tour with that as well. But again, they're arguing over who knows what. So Bobby ends up going on the road with BBD as Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike. So they're still together, but they have their moments of, well, I'm not really messing with you right now. Right. So they splinter off in their smaller little group. So maybe we'll get the chance to see him as a full 6.
I'm not holding my breath for that to happen.
Hey, even if it takes another 5 years, when we can go back outside
Hopefully
again,
we can go back outside in 5 years.
someone will get the bright idea to say, hey, let's put together one last run with New Edition. It doesn't have to be a full tour. They can do spot dates across the country, across North America, and we can go see them somewhere.
I would like to see them. I don't care how slow they dance.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting the 88, 92 versions of these guys,
No, not
but
at all.
I would like to see all 6 of them together.
Yeah, I definitely need to see that before I expire.
Okay.
Or they expire.
Okay.
I need to see it. Also, what I wanted to mention was in these closing statements about Bobby Brown. If you look at him now, like on Instagram, Twitter, you see him on TV talking about his family. He's just a dad now. Like, he's been through a lot of shit to get to where he is now. And now he's just a regular old 50 plus man with grandkids now.
Yeah.
He's got little kids of his own. And he's just a dad who used to be a singer. And now he's selling like
Barbecue
sauce and all these cooking products, which brings me to another Bobby story. So now I have a story time as well. So you look on his Instagram, he's selling all these cooking products, Bobby Brown's seasonings and things like that. When he was a kid, he decided he was going to cook dinner for the family. He's seen his mom do it. She's not home yet. His dad's still at work. I'm going to do something good. I'm cooking some chicken for the family. He goes into the freezer, takes out some chicken, grabs some flour out of the freezer. I'll get to that in a second. Why is flour in the freezer? Who knows? So he batters the chicken, throws it into the pan, fries it up, and he's eating the chicken when it comes out. And his mom comes home and is like, oh, Bobby made dinner. This is great. He said he's eating the chicken, but he's feeling weird.
Oh.
So he takes another bite
going.
and he's feeling even weirder. Like, this chicken tastes good, but there's something off about it. So his mom starts sniffing around the house like, oh, shit. Bobby just cooked this cocaine chicken.
That's what I was thinking.
He said that's how he found out that his mom was selling coke.
Yikes.
Because he found a brick of what he thought was flour in the freezer and made this cocaine chicken.
Wow.
And he said that was his introduction to finding out that his mom was doing more than just selling plates around the projects for extra money or whatnot.
How much cocaine did he use? Because I'm thinking she's going to come up short.
Yeah, he said it was a healthy brick. And what did he call this? Where's my notes here? And I can't even find it. Oh, he said he had a radical new addition to his family's culinary offerings.
Okay.
Cocaine chicken. So with that in mind, go out and buy yourself some Bobby Brown spices and seasonings
Sans cocaine
and barbecue sauce, minus the cocaine, for your culinary delights.
Oh man, we need to get some. I'll try some.
Me too. I'll
Because
throw
he had
some
some
support.
stuff that looked good. That last video I saw, him and I don't know if they were his kids or his grandkids, but they were just nom 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 nom, just
Yeah, I
yamming
think
on
those-
that fried chicken.
If they were little, those are his kids.
Okay.
Oh man, that's all I have. Do you have any closing statements or thoughts on Mr. Brown?
Nothing that I haven't already said. I think that just that period where people were so focused on him and Whitney and all of their drama and stuff that we kind of forgot that both of them actually are more than that. I don't know this man, but I'm happy that he gets to just be a dad now.
Yeah,
As Rick James says, cocaine is a hell of a drug.
it is.
And that he made it through. Unfortunately, not everybody did.
Yeah.
But I love watching his old videos and stuff just to remember like how much energy and,
That he used to
joy
have.
and stuff that he had and how much it brought to me just at that age too, where I was coming into my own. And so it definitely makes me very nostalgic for his music as well, because I too was kind of like finding myself.
So I guess we're going to close the episode here. As we always say, remember to subscribe, leave a review on whichever service you use to get these podcasts. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter at Troy Podcast. You can check us out at troypodcast.com. And that's basically it. We'll see you around next time. And
Yep. See you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Bye.